friends! In this video, we're going to cover how to go about tackling the secondaries. What are secondaries, how do you write them efficiently, and how do you keep yourself organized? In the next video, we're going to go over how to write the most high-yield prompts. But until then, let's get started. So what are secondaries? Once you submit the primary, verification can occur in anywhere between a couple of hours to 6 weeks, depending on the backlog at the time of submission. Upon verification and transmission of the verified primary to the medical schools will likely send you a secondary application. Once completed, this will be added to your primary application and, along with your letters of recommendation, MCAT scores, and possibly a CASPER or preview score, this will constitute your completed application ready for review to be invited to interviews. Submitting your secondary application early can be incredibly beneficial to securing an interview invite. The earlier you're in, the fewer other applications you're going to be compared to, and the more interview slots will be available. It's a lot easier for an AdCom to justify extending you an interview invite when there's 80% of the slots left, as opposed to when there's 50% come September. The vast majority of the time, schools will send out secondaries to every verified applicant. There are some exceptions where schools will pre-screen by stats, but that's very few schools. Each school will have their own unique set of supplemental essays that you'll need to complete on things like why are you a good match for this school, what kind of value you'll bring to the class, and what exposure you've had to medicine or community service. Oftentimes, they'll also have you input additional information that isn't essay related. Many schools will want a professional headshot, something related to residency status or other biographical information, and, unfortunately, many schools will also ask you to re-enter your PreMed prerequisites to double check that you took them. Submitting secondaries will also cost money, unless you have the fee assistance program, so make sure you budget and plan for that. Now, you can most certainly wait until you receive the secondary in order to start writing to the prompts and write them in the order in which they were received. However, it's very likely that this will result in a lot of quiet time until a massive wave of secondaries hit all at once. Ideally, you wind up submitting within 2 to 3 weeks of having received the secondary, or at the latest before Labor Day, whichever comes first. So, if you get slammed with all 20-ish secondaries at once, assuming that each secondary on average has 5 prompts, each prompt takes about 2 hours to write, that's 200 hours worth of writing that you need to complete within 2-ish weeks. And note that each week only has 168 hours, assuming you don't need to sleep. Alternatively, you could employ some of the strategies I'm about to go into to optimize on efficiency. So what are these strategies? First of all, pre-write by pre-compiling. Most of these secondaries don't change from year to year. So, with your school list in hand, Google every school's secondary essays from last year's cycle. Student Doctor Network, Med School Insiders, Savvy PreMed, etc. are all good places to check. Secondly, categorize. As you're compiling your list of secondary prompts, you'll notice some major themes come up. Some major categories that I noticed: the challenge adversity essay, explain your record, previously apply, school-specific or why our school, specifics of or exposure to medicine, the gap or application year information, the diversity essay, the how did COVID affect you or what did you do during COVID essay, public health, community service, or working with marginalized populations essay, leadership, and what else? Which brings us to our third major tip: write by category, not by school. So as you write, batch write by category and recycle large chunks of previous prompt responses under the same category to answer the new prompts of the same category. Once you're bored of that category, move on to the next one. So out of the 25 schools originally on my list, although I only completed 20 since I burned out at the last 5, the total number of prompts were 123, so the average number of prompts per school was about 5. With the note that some prompts can fall under more than one category, and some prompts fell under no category. There were about 17 prompts asking about the specifics of or exposure to medicine, 15 Why Us essay prompts, 14 essay prompts on gap or application year information, 13 prompts on diversity, 13 prompts on COVID, 10 prompts on public health, community service, or working with marginalized populations, 8 challenge or adversity essays, 8 explain your record prompts, 7 what else, 5 leadership, and 4 did you previously apply. So how do you approach staying organized as you tackle batch writing by category? So there's sort of 2 ways to approach this. 1, using a Word document and Excel sheet, and 2, using the Notion template that I've already set up for you. So the first way, using Word and Excel, which is the way that I used before I realized that Notion existed. Using the Word document, copy and paste all of the prompts for all your schools from last year's cycle, highlight every category based on a color of your choosing, and take note how many prompts there are for each school. Then, create an Excel sheet, listing all the schools on your list by name, the total number of prompts needed to complete, the total of prompts you've already completed by that school, and this column will be continuously updated as you go, the date the secondary invite was received, and a column for the date when the secondary was completed or submitted. As you complete the prompts, update the Excel sheet and get a visual of the completion status. This also allows you to sort by complete versus incomplete. However, personally, now that I know that it exists, I would use the Notion, especially since I already made a template for you, just because it can be used to track both completion and sort by essays all in one place. So, when you click on the link, you're going to find the original locked version. You're going to have to duplicate it, and then unlock it. And this will be free for you to edit in your own workspace. I have instructions at the top for how to use it and the templates that you'll need to use. We're going to add an example school. Let's say this is going to be Harvard Medical School. Say that the date it was received was the 29th. We can see that the due date automatically populates with 2 weeks after the received date. We also have fields here for things like entering the secondary portal URL. There's spaces to keep the username and password that you used for the secondary portal URL, a place to note the location, the school mission, and interesting programs. So let's try entering a prompt. We're going to click on New, Example Prompt, Why Harvard? You'll see that the school automatically populates in this view. Click on the tag to add which category it goes under. Let's pretend that the word limit is 100 words. And my response is, Harvard is cool. And we see that the character count and the word count updated as I typed. So this is the same template populated with my old school list information. So, looking at secondaries by school allows you to see which schools are still incomplete and which schools have already been completed. And these nifty buttons at the top will allow you to see only the schools that are incomplete or only the schools that are completed. Scrolling down to secondaries by prompt, right now we're looking at all of the prompts in reverse order in which I entered them. But say we wanted to view them by category. We can go to this view, click on tags, click on the category that we want to view, and it will only populate with the essays of that category. We can even tailor this further to show only the in progress or not started prompts by clicking status, to do an in progress, and only the incomplete challenge essays are available to see now. Another way you can view this, instead of having only those be viewable, you can also add a sort function. Sort it by status. In ascending or descending order doesn't completely matter. That way only not started might appear at the top and all the finished ones will appear at the bottom, allowing you to reference what you've already written in that category as you type in the new prompt. Let's say that I partially finished this essay. I scraped my knee and cried. I want to mark this as in progress. Now we can note which are not started versus which are in progress, based on status, in progress. And you'll notice that there are all sorts of views that you can play around with as you're getting familiarized with Notion. So going back up to Secondaries by School, we also see another view, Calendar by Due Date. So again, the calendar is automatically set to populate 2 weeks after the received date. So we see when our estimated quote-unquote due date is. And this gives you a calendar view of when you need to complete which secondaries by. Again, as you get familiarized with Notion, you can create all sorts of views, all sorts of sorts, all sorts of filters, and do whatever works for you. But I can't stress enough that submitting your secondary application early can be a huge factor in improving your chances to getting an interview invite. This is just one tool to help you stay organized on your journey. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. If you liked this video, please subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.